Okay, welcome to the October 3rd, 2019 Town of Riverhead Planning Board meeting. First item on our agenda tonight is 406 Osborne Avenue. Yeah.
Tom, you look like you're hurting.
A little sore. It's only been 3 weeks, so,
For what?
hip replacement.
Wow.
Knee?
Hip.
Hip.
No, I've had the knees done before and the shoulder, so this is the fourth.
$1 million man.
Bionic.
I go through the airport security, it's great, you know? Beep, 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 beep. Assume the position.
All right, so we're here to discuss 406 Osborne Avenue. At the last planning board meeting, when it came to preliminary approval to vote on the resolution, the board members had some additional questions. I just wanted to kind of go through them very quickly, and then we can go over some of the finer points. To the size of the parking stalls, I just want to clarify, when this plan initially came in, the first version of the plan had 9 by 20 double-striped stalls. The town code allows for 9 by 20 double-striped at the board's discretion. At that meeting, the board directed the applicant that they wanted 10-foot by 20-foot stalls. With the increase in the size of the stalls, that's what made them unable to provide the 2 additional spaces for parking. They came in at 25 spaces, where 27 were required. As a result of providing those 10 by 20 spaces, the applicant did go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for the lack of being able to provide 2 stalls. They got that variance, so they are now providing 25 parking stalls on site at the 10-foot by 20 dimensions that were requested by the board. And there was also a question about the size of the apartments. There are 6 units being proposed on the second floor. They range in size from 631 square feet to 708 square feet. We're here to just, like I said, I wanted to clarify the parking issue, and address any other concerns that the board may have about the project at this time.
Do we have the final elevations? I know you had colored one at one point in time.
Yeah. He's here. That was approved by the ARB also. Yep.
Osborne.
Thank you for changing this dimensions.
It's okay.
I did just include a condition in the preliminary approval that prior to final, the colors just need to go back to the ARB for their final sign-off on the colors, because I don't believe that it happened.
And I guess the ARB didn't want shutters, right?
Correct.
Right.
Windows are broken up.
But Ed, you want Ed, the R advisory to you, so it's your decision.
What's that?
The R advisory.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, any further discussion or questions?
No?
Any comments, Ed? Parking is,
Yeah, the parking's adequate, shoot. Cancel.
What variance do
I
they need
just
from the
wish, you
zoning
know,
board?
No, they received the only variant. They needed a variance for being unable to provide the 27 stalls. So they received that variance. ZBA addressed that, taking care of that. So now they are providing 25 on site.
I just wish there was a little more to be done to make this tie into Polish Town.
I mean, is that something with the board, I mean, we
Well,
have the Polish
I
Town
don't wanna hold it
sign.
up, I don't like holding people up, but in the same token, it's still ink on paper. You know, I just wish there was some way this tied in, you know,
Well, we are preserving the Polish Town sign.
Yes, thank you.
Nice fund that and
And I
that,
appreciate that.
so that's,
All right.
that meets everything. Yeah, I guess there was one other question that the Board of Zoning Appeals picked up. In the data table, it had the parking data. It still showed the old 9x12, 9x20 stalls there. They changed in the plan, and that has since been revised, and we gave Greg the copies of the plan. So that was one thing that the BZA had wanted to have clarified, because it showed the 9x20 even in the data table, but on the plan, we had changed it to 10. And it just got missed, so that has been corrected also.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, next discussion item is 498 Main Road.
Good evening.
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank the board, and I want to thank the examiner, Greg, for fitting us in this evening. I know you're very busy, and we appreciate the effort. By way of background, we've all read about the historic homes in the Aquabog corridor being bulldozed. So last year, we saw this structure, which had been dilapidated and neglected for years, and we decided that we would do our best to try to save it. It's an article from, I guess, News Review or River Local about one of the homes that was bulldozed a couple years just down the street from us. This particular home, we think it's important that it look right. It's right in the middle of the hamlet of Aquabog. It had some prior trade or business use. We don't envision any type of intensive use. Our architect, Mrs. Sanluski, reviewed some of the open points with Greg. We think we've addressed them. One of the points is we've redesigned the parking area, and we think it meets with your requirements. Only one of the 10 spots, 10 parking spots, would have to be a parallel spot. And the reason we felt that was important was it would allow us to preserve the beautiful green space in back of the barn structure, which we thought was important. So we'd ask you to provide your discretion to allow that one out of the 10 parallel spots. There already is a buffer. We think it complies with the requirements. This is also a lovely buffer in this lovely area. It adjoins, I guess, a 200-year-old family homestead. And I'll now defer to our architect, who's actually addressed some of Greg's concerns, and we want to try to comply with whatever the rest of your
Would the board want me
issues
to
might be.
briefly go through what I have tonight first, and if any questions Greg could, or, okay.
You got the floor.
And by the way, just, I do have these exhibits, if you'd like to see them, and I'll hand them
Pass
up.
to the board now.
Yeah, are you the attorney for the applicant?
Yes,
Could you just state your name for the record,
yes,
please?
Ronald Toreri.
Thank you.
I'd also like to say before you speak, that there is a new restaurant down the street. It's got, I believe, 4 parking spots and handicap. They are parked on the main road, and we will never, ever allow parking in the main road, nor will we have an intensive use like that. So I think, you know, we want to be treated equally. Certainly, there's people, when they go up into that parking area, when the 4 spots are full, they're backing out into the main road with cars blocking visibility.
And just so it's no secret, some of you folks may know me in town, and this will be my satellite office, because if I stay in my home office any longer, I'll be thrown out of my house. So this is about 3 minutes from home, and again, we don't really expect any type of intensive use, but it would be good for me to get out every now and then.
If I could just,
Is this your house now? Is this
No.
the house we're talking about?
that
No.
was the one I was demolished.
That was when it was demolished, but I do have a picture of our house.
No, it's all right.
Actually, I'd like to show it to you. So one of the things that we saw some great examples of work in Riverhead. One of them was the beautiful Preston House. So we decided to try to, in our own little way, comply with making it look right. So we've poured money into it to make it look right. We've got wonderful shingles. We preserved all of the elements of the original house. This house was almost 100 years old, and we made no structural changes. We just wanted to make it look right for this spot. It adjoins this lovely homestead that has the windmill. And so we knew what we wanted to do, and we wanted to keep it because it's an important place. It's a showcase for our little hamlet. I lived in Riverhead for 35 years. We wanted to do the right thing, and that's what we're trying to do here.
Okay, what we did is we put together, I have a copy of Greg's comments, along with a copy of the plan, and I put marks on the plans and I made notes on this. It'd make it very easy to go through, only probably take us a few minutes. If you wanted to go item by item, or just, if you want me to go through the whole thing, I think that might be better. And then you could answer any questions, and Greg could.
Sure, you
also-
can go through it.
Thank you. Just the first item I noted, I'm an old draftsman, so with the windows on the computer, cut off the date. These drawings were actually revised on and resubmitted on August 27th, but the date was cut off the drawing. Just wanted to make that as a note. It looked a little bit weird that we had the dated in June saying we were replying to the July 11th comments, but anyway. The first item on egress, site ingress and egress, that has been revised. We now have a full 24-foot driveway. We are in for DOT approval. We have gotten through part 1 of the approval. We have submitted part 2 of the approval based on their comments. Once they check the comments and send us back approval of part 2, part 3, we will submit the contractor's insurance and the bond, and they'll issue us the permit to do the work along 25. So item 1 has been completed. Item 2, circulation and parking. We did talk about parking possibly behind the garage. When we looked at it, especially with the 10-foot buffer to the side, trying to get behind the garage really only leaves the driveway literally for people to walk on, and it was a little bit of a blind corner coming around the garage. After the last meeting, I know we discussed it, we really gave it a hard look, and we feel that this is a better plan. We were able to get the wider driveway with 1 parallel spot, which, by the way, if we wanted to make that a green space, we certainly wouldn't argue that point. But we have the required parking. We meet all the dimensional criteria. We would like the board to give us consideration on that, as opposed to having to rip out and go through the whole back of the property. That would be, I don't think it's a good plan. Has a bigger effect on the environment, so we're asking for your consideration. On item 3, the landscape buffers, Greg pointed out the item in the town code that refers to the buffer. We have the buffer, but there is an existing privet hedge that's been there for a very, very long time that
It's not we.
both,
We put that in.
you put that in?
We put that in at the request of the owner.
Oh,
of
at the
store.
request, sorry, and then at the request of the neighbor, they utilized a privet hedge, which everybody really likes. This is a residential area. The buffering that's required in the code really is gonna make this look like a commercial development. It's gonna be the fence, the big bushes. Right now, if you go there, it's all open, it looks like residences, that's the intent. We don't think that that buffer's, as appropriate, and if you look at pages 4 and 5 of what I gave you a copy of, the first on page 4 does indicate about the plants and the evergreens. However, if you go to, my page 5, the next section of the code also has a section C, which says unless specifically waived, or otherwise amended by the town board in this case, or whatever the board would be reviewing. It requires a buffer zone, to protect the residential, 6-foot high fence, and, the buffer shall be seeded and or planted with appropriate ground cover. So there's actually a little bit of a conflict in the code book. When you look at one section, it says, these trees this high, this much on center, but you look at another section and it says, ground cover and or planted.
Yeah, but I think you're reading this the wrong way. You're trying to apply this section that you pointed out to us to something that really doesn't apply.
Okay,
That's how I view it. I mean, you're not using it as a residential property, so you should follow what
Yeah,
you're
the only
supposed to
point, the
do.
only point that I would make, and we have it's in a photograph, is one of the considerations that, you, can address is consistency with the neighborhood and, neighboring properties. So we actually have a photograph in there of the same privet hedges, on the property next door. Our gardener planted ours and theirs because we wanted that look. We thought it was a better look. If you want us to put in evergreens, it's not a big deal for us, we're happy to do it. But we just felt that it was a better look, it fit in with what the neighbor wanted. If you want evergreens, we're happy to do it.
What's the
but
size of the hedges right now?
They're about 6 feet.
Are they that high?
It's
Yeah.
a pretty high hedge, but they don't stay green all year, that's the difference.
Yeah.
The privet doesn't stay green all year, so the difference is it's, seasonal.
And as you all well know, the deers out here eat the bottom of the pine trees and they look
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
They just look terrible.
Yeah, and we've had issues we have a couple properties and we've always had issues with the evergreen. But if that's what you want, we'll defer to you. We just ask that you consider leaving it because we thought the privet was the Southampton look and a better look. And it fit in with a guy who has his own windmill, so he probably knows more than me and more about property than
Okay.
a lot of folks.
How many uses you have in the building?
What uses?
No, how many uses? Just your office or? another
Yeah,
office?
just my office, yeah.
Oh.
On item.
And by the way, Ed, I would just note, my office is in Manhattan, okay? So what I've done, I've been out here for a long time, and because I'm recognizing the community, because we have friends, we have neighbors, over the years, a lot of folks have come to me, and we try to help them on a pro bono basis very often, because it's our obligation as members of the bar. And, at some point, we thought it would be nice to have a separate thing, and being able to save something on Main Road, when we saw all these parts of our history being bulldozed and decimated, it's what we wanted to do, so,
Yeah,
that's my
I
reason.
actually agree with Marty that, the one stall that's parallel to the house, I think that would be better off as green space myself. It's a one-use office.
What does that do, the calculation though, Greg?
I don't know.
It would be 1 out of 10 cars, so it'd be a 10% reduction in the,
Does it meet the code or no?
well, 10 meets the code, we
10
have
meets
10
the
that
code.
meet the code.
Okay.
And if we reduce it by 1, we would have,
So you
we
have
would
to
still
go
have 10
through that.
spaces, 1 would be green at this point. It would still, we would be still in with green, and
Right.
still remain
They have
as
to
an
go to
area where
ZBA.
they could be parking if
They
it
have
was
to go
deemed
to
necessary.
ZBA to reduce.
I don't believe so. I'd have to look through the code and kind of consider it, but I think if there, the planning board does have some authority to land banks and parking. I mean, if they just covered a parking space with grass. I mean, I can't help but notice that, they brought up a similar site down the road, where they said they're short on parking, so I wouldn't want this site to end up in a situation where they're ever underparked.
Yeah, I know, but
So I mean,
part-time law office is different than a restaurant.
I understand that. I mean, when you're approving it for a use, any office could go in, more intense, less intense. And it is of note, the reason why they require 10 spaces is because they do have the office use that they're proposing, as well as the retail. Small, it's only about an 800 square foot retail building, but that is necessitating some parking too. I I think that's kind of what's just contributing to trying to put several, two uses on a single property that is a small property to begin with.
So Eddie, in the old days, I've known you for a long time, I think we had less gray hair, we were thinner and better looking, but I've been practicing for 40 years, so 40 years ago, we had people running around serving papers, we had clients coming in. The way we practice law and the way many businesses are, we don't have that volume anymore. So the one thing is, we're not gonna have any intense use, we're not gonna have people coming by, that's just not the way an office works,
Well, the use
today.
could change, though. I think that's part of the point. It could intensify 5 years from now if you're not there anymore. So maybe we could word
It's three.
any resolution that if the use intensifies or changes, we could, have the right to require the extra parking.
I don't think we have a problem with that.
And I would make a note of that on the, we have our approval from Suffolk County Health Department, but they won't release it without seeker, the determination. The use is specifically dry, for that, and the office use. And the office use does not permit the medical use either. So it's based on professional office and dry. So if we were to change anything, we'd have to go back to the county and
Okay.
update the sanitary. So it's truly designed for the uses that are represented.
The
Item
front-
4.
The front building is gonna be your office.
Right.
What's going on in the back?
We don't know.
With the garage.
Yeah, we have no plans for it right now.
It really lends itself toward more of like an antique
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's
But
not a,
that's more parking.
well, that's included in the parking calculation.
Okay.
That is accounted for. On item 4, there was the discussion about a street tree, but I attached the page 6 to mine. And this is a Google street shot. There are 2 huge historic trees in front of the house. If you look at it, it's like a lot of trees and a lot of green. We just really don't see the need to try to throw another tree in the front of the house that's gonna block it. I just really would rather not provide any additional trees in the front yard based on the street view shot on page 6. It just doesn't seem as a necessity. And then on the item, that Greg had noted, we did miss upgrading the number 17 to 22, cause we added some landscaping, but we neglected to change it on the schedule. So if you look at my plan that I marked up, these are the changes we're making, it'll be corrected to 22. On the lighting plan, we actually eliminated the post lantern. I attached pages 7, 8, and 9. 7 was the lantern that we've omitted. We no longer have the lantern, so that's gone. On page 8, we now have fixture number 1. This is a small decorative fixture that would go by the entrance in the back to the office, the entrance in the front to the house, and the entrance to the garage area in the back. And of that, we have information from the manufacturer that both this fixture, which is decorative, and the fixture number L2, which we've included, they are both dark skies compliant. So the L2 is dark skies. I didn't have the page, we neglected one page out of fixture L2, but is this an extra copy, Arthur?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is extra copy?
You can present it to the board.
I'll give it to Greg, but this, the same fixture, it has noted on it that the, it is a dark skies compliant
The
fixture.
L1?
Yeah, that's the one, that's the decorative one.
Yeah.
And then the other one, this one here also has the note right on
I
it,
see
that it's
that.
dark skies. These are just accent lighting for those areas. It's really not like a site where you do a full photometric plan or anything. I mean, we're going minimal with the lighting. We don't want this to jump out as a big retail place. It's not gonna be, it's gonna be more of a daytime use. So we've really limited on the lighting. And we think that with those being dark skies fixtures, we'd like to ask for the approval without having to go out and get a photometric engineering drawing of the drawing that's not gonna show much. It's gonna show a couple of dots here and a couple of dots there.
What's the light of the bulb and what's the temperature
The 3,000 is the temperature.
and the wattage?
The wattage on this one here,
What do you got on it?
this one here, I believe is, let me just find it, hold on. This is up to 75 watts. it's allowed to go up to 75 watts. What we could do, which I know this then takes it completely out of the mix, is if we put a note on this and we could make it a condition that we utilize 40 watts as the bulb wattage on that, because it's only an accent light by the door, we could do that also, but it's just a 75 watt single bulb.
Yeah, you're talking about L2, right?
L1 is also, yeah,
No,
L1, I have the
It says it
additional.
on there, but,
I'll give this to Greg, because this page is not in your
Okay.
copy. That says that, that shows the dark skies compliance. This way Greg will have a copy of that.
Here, Greg?
On, item, 6, the dumpster enclosure, with this use and without the wet use and without the heavy retail, we're really gonna look to utilize a rolling container. So we tucked originally we're gonna put the dumpster on the east side, where we have room between the neighbor's fence and there, and it's like right out in front of everybody. We felt tucking it in here, especially with the operation of an office and a store, it's very easy before hours for them to come in and grab that and come back out. So, there was just a question about, we did screen it, which was noted, but it noted there may be difficulty. We feel that where it is with a rolling dumpster, we don't think that'll be an issue, so we'd like the board's consideration on that. On number 7, we're gonna just leave the existing shed. It's an old shed. It's been there for a long time. We're just gonna leave it in place at this point.
It's actually the original chicken coop. And we will side that.
but if it's dilapidated and you're fixing up the property, why do you wanna leave it?
We'll side it.
Historic. It's an old
Yeah.
chicken coop. I mean, it's literally been there for like,
You'll restore it?
Yes.
We've got a new roof on it. We will side it to match the house and barn.
Got that, Greg? Thank you.
and then the last one, two things. The one was about the paving, which I don't understand, but I'll go to the second page. The second page is easy, about the handicapped access. What we're doing, and I marked it on the SP1 that I gave you, which we'll revise and resubmit, we're just gonna extend that sidewalk to that garage also. So we have the handicap space, the ramp, we have room here, we're just gonna take the sidewalk and also extend it to the front of the retail. So if you look at the larger drawing I gave you, you'll see a little red dotted area that I hatched in. That would be the area, right?
Yeah.
Right here, we're just hatching. And then,
No, that's the walkway.
so that was an easy one, and then, but the comment before that about the paving, I just really don't understand it. I mean, we have a stone, gravel base and with a gravel top using a permeable, and the comment is that it doesn't meet any requirements.
Yeah,
on
we
it.
actually
I'm
looked
not
at
sure
that,
about
and it had, I think there might have been an error in it, in the reference to the statute, because it refers to, more than 12, we don't have more than 12 parking, so we should just clarify that,
That's
but,
not required.
For a business and commercial building with a maximum required number of 12 parking spaces.
Yes, it's up to
So
12.
up to 12.
But what happened here is, with that issue there, and I have that in here, I know I have it. Yes, I did. It's the very last page. It would be my page 10 of 10, which is what has been done all over. Wineries, some of the other restaurants and commercial development in this area, where we use alternative techniques. So there has been gravel used and stone parking used on many sites. Sometimes people need additional parking, they wanna expand their parking, they'll use that. In the wineries and the restaurant that they had mentioned about the parking nearby, there's stone used all the time. So I just don't understand the comment. Why, I don't know why it's noted not to
I
comply.
mean, if the board's okay with the gravel parking, I have no objection. They're allowed to, it's just that when it says if there are other paving techniques allowable, it needs to be brought to the board's attention. So
Okay.
if the board's okay with the gravel, I have no objection to it.
On the
It's just-
plan that I'm seeing here, you show one cross-section that has gravel and one that has asphalt.
Yeah, because what happens is by the roadway, where the road comes in, we have asphalt coming onto the site, so the gravel doesn't go in the street. And we also have the asphalt at the handicap parking space. So we have handicapped asphalt, and then the rest is gravel. So we have both conditions on site. That's why we have the two details. And that's basically what we have. If we get direction from the board, we would resubmit as per your direction. and then hope to move toward an approval to get things wrapped up.
Any objection to the gravel?
No, I don't.
No, I really kinda like the idea to try to keep it looking residential.
What would we do about the buffer? That's the only thing I'm not sure about, that I don't think I got a feeling about one way or the other when we were talking. The planter.
You had mentioned that the neighbors, at their request, you planted the
Yeah.
privet hedge, right?
Actually, I'll tell you, he used our gardener. It looked so nice. He used, our gardener. He liked it. We liked it. We did another house, in Laurel with it. And again, I've done all right in my life. This guy has his own windmill, so I would defer to him if he liked the privets, you know, and we thought it was like a nice Southampton look, and, you know, that's,
He did send a letter in recommending that they remain, and it really, it's a beautiful look up there, it really is.
Okay, it's fine, I saw the picture, they're tall. Sometimes when you initially plant privets, they're not fully grown in, but that's fully taken in.
The space behind the garage, is that to remain as open space? or-
yes. I mean, that's why we thought we didn't wanna have parking there, because it's a very nice area, and it adjoins the area that has that beautiful farm in the back. It's a nice looking place. We
They
wanna keep it.
also, the back part of their property is preserved, so it really kind of blends in, it's beautiful back there, it would be a shame to put parking back there.
Okay, was there anything else, Greg?
Good, they covered everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
It got
much.
cold
Thank you,
out, so stay warm.
The only thing I'd like to, now that the board's heard everything, moving for a public hearing, if you'd like, the next meeting.
Yeah, let's put it on.
I can schedule a public
Sure.
hearing. Thankfully, October is a long month, so they could actually get on for the first meeting in November.
Does that work for you?
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you, we're trying to get the site work done before they close the asphalt
Do
plant.
the secret at the same time, Craig?
Thank you.
Was that?
Secret in the same.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thanks, Greg.
And the comment about the restriction,
Yeah.
you know.
We'll capture everything.
Okay, the public hearing for Kaywood Minor subdivision has been rescheduled for November 7th at 7 PM. Any comments on resolutions? Any public comments on resolutions? Okay,
I'll move resolution number 2019, yeah, Kaywood's Minor subdivision for a public hearing.
Second
Second.
motion?
the motion made and seconded to approve resolution 90 for Kaywood's Minor subdivision for a public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution's approved.
Make a motion that we move resolution 91 for Dewey Warehouses, granting final site plan approval, so moved.
Second?
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve resolution 91, granting final site plan approval for Fadoon Warehouse. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution is approved.
I'll move resolution 92, Riverhead Retail Partners, to schedule a public hearing for November 7th for site plan application. So moved.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve resolution 92, Riverhead Retail Partners to schedule a public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is approved. Okay, any public comment on any matter?
I just would like to circle back, resolution, it's not on the agenda, but it was tabled from the last meeting for 406 Osborne. Resolution 2019-89. I do have copies, I don't know if the board would like to vote on it now, if they'd like to.
Which project?
406 Osborne was the Tom Kramer, the first project we spoke of for the
okay.
preliminary approval. I did note, as I said, the conditions, prior to final approval, the applicant shall provide color and material samples for the proposed building materials to the planning board and ARB prior to final approval. They just have to be revised to comply with comments from the town engineer, building department, and highway department.
Okay, so we can put that on the next meeting, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else wanted to speak. We got an email request from Keith Archer, who's the attorney for the 7-Eleven project. They have a public hearing scheduled for November 6th. They have certain time constraints. They're in terms of the closing on the property and with 7-Eleven. They're asking that if there are no objections or public comments on the November 6th hearing, if they could also get a resolution for preliminary site plan approval the same night.
Well, I think he mentioned it in his request, if there aren't any comments that we need to consider.
Right.
So,
Yeah, like Stanley said, if there's no issues that come up that evening, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
they've been cooperative with us.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want to make this a standard procedure, but given the history of what they've been through.
Yeah.
Right, they've been here quite a bit.
Yeah,
Long
done it.
haul.
Okay. We'll have it ready, and if nobody objects, we'll have it on, we'll put it on as a tentative,
Sure.
and
Okay, quick question. When is the Stop and Shop issue gonna be discussed again? I know there's one resident here. I've had some discussions with it.
we just got the resolution of approval for, the town board on Tuesday, because they had the height issue.
Yeah,
So it could possibly be on for next meeting?
Yeah, I could have them, they just submitted revised plans, they are gonna go with that one-way traffic. I could bring
Okay.
it back before the board at the next meeting and have a.
well, there's a couple issues that we'd probably like to have included on there too. You know, when the neighbors call and complain, they go out and tell the guys to, you know, shut the ends down, but I feel, after speaking to some of the residents, that there should definitely be proper signage, so these guys know what's going on, you know, what the law is.
Or the truck drivers, or?
Yeah, truck drivers.
Yeah.
I actually saw videos of, you know, 6 o'clock in the morning, they're just sitting back there idling away, and that's kind of annoying, you know, for the people that have to deal
And
with
I'm
it.
sure they could idle on the other side of the thing until they're ready to deliver, because I'm sure the parking lot's not full at 6 AM in the morning on the other side of the building.
Yep. And, what was the other issue that you mentioned to me?
Sorry, what?
The signage was one, and the other one was,
Idling trucks?
The decibel level, that it would be reduced by only 15 decibels.
15%?
Which is very minimal. Could they
Yeah.
possibly put a double layer to increase the sound?
it kind of is a double. It's got a coating on each side with the noise. I think,
What else is going to, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm right down on it.
It is a double wall.
Yeah.
They're putting a wall right at the bay where the Stop and Shop trucks, the Peapod trucks deliver from.
yeah.
And then they have the wall along the property line. So
Okay.
it is a double wall.
Okay, the other thing is, I'd like to see, when they get approval, that the wall goes in first, because,
Before what?
well, they're gonna put the generator there.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what
You
you're
know,
saying. Yeah,
whatever
yeah, yeah.
work, the wall goes first, so
Okay.
that the residents could get relief.
You can make that a
earlier.
condition, right?
Yeah. If we could do that, I think it'd make it a better project.
Sooner the better. I just like to see some kind of, something.
Yep.
something done.
We understand.
All right,
Okay,
so,
if we could do that, it'd be great.
is it safe to assume the board does not wish to hold a public hearing on this? We're gonna consider it administrative?
Yes.
All right, so I will, I can draft up a draft resolution and send it out at the next meeting. I'll just present the updated traffic plan. And again, we can make signage a condition of approval. In terms of the decibel level, I mean, I think that
It's gonna
requires.
be a lot better.
That requires.
15 decibels doesn't sound a lot numerically, but in terms of the sound, and it's a geometric reduction, so it's not just a numerical arithmetic. So as the sound dissipates and gets absorbed, it's gonna be a huge reduction. I mean, it's
Like
not
with-
just a 15
like with
numerical.
earthquakes.
There's gonna be a noticeable reduction,
Yeah, I agree.
especially with the double wall where the Peapod trucks are unloading. Cause that's the big thing, is you get that piercing sharp noise,
Yeah.
and they're putting the double wall there, so.
Okay, any other public comment?
What's the status of 406 Osborne? What are we doing with that?
Well, that was, I mean, the resolution was tabled from the last meeting, so the board could vote on it, the preliminary approval at this meeting.
It wasn't on our agenda though,
All right.
so
Oh,
that's why I
so
said
for-
next meeting.
All right.
Okay, minutes of, September 19th for approval?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
I abstain,
okay.
didn't get it.
We got them, but just a little late.
No, couldn't download it, I'm not gonna download 40 pages.
Next meeting, Thursday, October 17th at 3 PM. Motion to adjourn?
No other discussion items?
No. No, but we're gonna talk to,
Okay.
executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Done?
Aye.
Have a nice weekend, everybody.
I want these